Good morning all of you. Last class we have discussed about separation of components of a mixture. You know that salt is separated from salt water by evaporation. Salt is separated from salt water by evaporation. Okay. Is this method is sufficient if water is to be obtained through this method? Okay, here we use distillation. Here we use method distillation. Okay. Today our topic is distillation. Okay, look here. This picture indicates the distillation of salt water. This picture indicates distillation of salt water. Okay, then first you take a salt solution in a round bottom flask. This flask is known as round bottom flask. Okay, here we take a salt solution in a round bottom flask. Then on heating the solution, the water change into water vapor. The water change into water vapor and water vapor enters into the condenser. This device is known as condenser. Okay. Then water vapor enters into the condenser. The vapor change into water. We can collect the water in another flask. Round bottom flask. Okay. First heat the salt solution, then water change into water vapor and water vapor enters into the condenser and we can collect the water. Here is a question for you. Which component evaporate? Which component evaporate in salt solution? On distillation, water change into water vapor. Water can change into water vapor. And which component remains in the flask? Which component? Okay, salt remains in the flask. Salt does not vaporize. Okay. Salt not vaporize. Okay. Then what is mean by distillation? What is mean by distillation? When one component of a mixture is volatile and other do not vaporize at the same condition, distillation can be used. Distillation is the method of heating and one component do not vaporize and others is volatile. Okay, what is mean by distillation? What is mean by distillation? When one component of a mixture is volatile and others do not vaporize at the same condition, distillation can be used. Important point we considered here is the components should have a very large difference in their boiling point. Okay, large difference in their boiling point. A mixture of water with acetone. Water has a boiling point 100 degrees Celsius and acetone 56 degrees Celsius. Distillation can be used. A mixture of water with acetone. And you know that ordinary water contains many minerals. Ordinary water contains many minerals and these minerals are removed by distillation. These minerals are removed by distillation and water can be used for injection or storage battery or medicines etc. Okay. This distilled water is used for medicines and storage battery, etc. Next, if the components have a very low difference in their boiling point, we have used fractional distillation. The method is fractional distillation. The components have a very small difference in their boiling point. We can use fractional distillation. The method is fractional. Here, a mixture of ethanol and methanol. A mixture of ethanol and methanol. Ethanol with a boiling point. Ethanol with a boiling point 78 degrees Celsius and methanol with a boiling point 65 degrees Celsius. These components have a very small difference in their boiling point. These two components are miscible. These two components are miscible. So, we can use fractional distillation. Okay, the components have very small difference in their boiling point. Fractional distillation can be used. See here. This is a fractional distillation method. This is the fractional distillation method. Here we take the mixture of ethanol and methanol in the flask, round bottom flask. Then on heating the solution, the vapors passes through the fractionating column. This is known as fractionating column. On heating the mixture, the vapors passes through the fractionating column. Then the vapors undergo repeated liquefaction and vaporization. The vapors in the mixtures undergo repeated liquefaction and vaporization, and at last the low boiling point methanol, the vapors of low boiling point methanol enters into the condenser, and we can collect the methanol in a round bottom flask of standard flask. Okay, first methanol with a low boiling point enters into the condenser and we can collect it. Then ethanol with a high boiling point enters into the condenser and we can collect another flask. Okay, fractional distillation means low boiling point mixtures can be undergo fractional distillation, and during fractional distillation the vapors passes through the fractionating column and undergo a repeated liquefaction and vaporization. Then methanol with a low boiling point enters into the condenser. Okay, we can collect it. Then ethanol with a high boiling point enters into the condenser and we can collect it. Okay, this is known as fractional distillation. Okay, fractional distillation can be done with the components have a very small difference in their boiling point. In crude oil, we can separate the petrol, kerosene, diesel, etc. from crude oil by fractional distillation. Okay. Next method is separating fund. Here is an activity for you. Take equal quantity of water and kerosene in a jar. This is a jar, and in this jar take equal quantity of water and kerosene. Here I take water in this jar and okay, look here. What is the observation? Okay, it forms two layers. It forms two layers. Lower layer is water and upper layer is kerosene. What is the reason for this? Okay, water is denser than kerosene. Okay, water is denser than kerosene. Okay, how can we separate these immiscible liquids? How? Okay, we can use an instrument. We can use an instrument to separate these immiscible liquids from their mixture, and this is known as separating funnel. Separating funnel is an apparatus used for separating immiscible liquids from their mixture. Look here. This is a separating funnel. When we take water and kerosene in this funnel, water seen at the bottom and kerosene above it, and we can separate first water and we can collect in a beaker, then after we can collect kerosene in another jar. Okay, this is known as separating funnel. The separation is based on their density. More denser seen at the bottom and less denser seen above it. Okay, and this is known as separating funnel. We can separate oil and water using separating funnel. We can separate oil and water using separating funnel. Next method is sublimation. All of you know the peculiarity of iodine. What happened on heating of iodine? What happened? Okay, on heating of iodine change into vapor. On heating of iodine change into vapor. Okay, can you tell me some another example for this property? Okay, here is an activity for you. You take 3 test tube and take ammonium chloride, naphthalene and camphor in separate test tube. First ammonium chloride, naphthalene, camphor take in 3 separate test tube, then heat it. What is the observation? You can see that all these components change into vapor, and that property is known as sublimation. You have already studied what is meant by sublimation. Okay, on heating of some solid substances, they can directly change into gas without forming liquid. In some solid substances, on heating, directly change into gas without forming liquids, and that is known as sublimation. Here is a work for you. in your textbook. This is the arrangement of separating ammonium chloride with the sand. Ammonium chloride with the sand. Okay. In page number 45, this is the figure. In page number 45, this is the figure. Okay, look here. This is the arrangement of separating ammonium chloride with the sand. You should write the procedure for this experiment. You should write the procedure for this experiment and how can you get pure ammonium chloride. Okay. Can you tell me the procedure for this experiment? Can you tell me name of this apparatus? Okay. First we take here is a funnel. Here is a funnel. There is a funnel. Then this is the china dish. This is a china dish. Then burn. Take some ammonium chloride in a china dish and crush it in the form of powder. Okay. Take some ammonium chloride in a china dish. Then crush it in powdered form. Then put a funnel in inverted position. Put a funnel above the china dish in inverted position and place a cotton at the stem of the funnel. Place a cotton at the stem of the funnel. Then heat it. On heating, ammonium chloride change into vapor. Ammonium chloride change into vapor. After some time, it is solidified and stick it to the walls of the funnel. Stick it to the walls of the funnel and we can separate this ammonium chloride. Okay. What is the procedure of separation of ammonium chloride from sand? Okay. Take ammonium chloride in a china dish. Then put an inverted funnel and place a cotton at the stem of the funnel. Then heat it. Ammonium chloride change into ammonium chloride vapor due to sublimation and the solidified ammonium chloride stick it to the walls of the funnel and we can separate this ammonium chloride. Okay. Next topic is, next separation method is centrifugation. This is the method for separating components from a mixture on the basis of their mass difference. This is the method used for separating component from a mixture on the basis of their mass difference. This method is used to separate blood cells from blood sample, to get quick precipitate from laboratory experiments, etc. Okay. First you take a liquid mixture in a test tube. Liquid mixture in a test tube. Then put it into a center point instrument and rotate it. After rotation, lower mass can be separated. When we take the liquid mixture in this test tube, then higher mass we can separate at the center and next method is centrifugation. This is the method used for separate components from a mixture based on their mass difference. This is the method used for separation of components from a mixture on the basis of their mass difference. Okay. This method is used to separate blood cells from blood sample, also for quick precipitation in laboratory experiments, etc. Here we take this liquid mixture in a central point test tube, and this is rotated in a central point instrument. We can get higher mass away from the center and lower mass closer to the center, and we can separate it. Okay, look here. This is the central point instrument. This is known as centrifuge. This is known as centrifuge. In order to separate insoluble particles in a liquid mixture based on their mass difference, centrifuge is used. In order to separate insoluble particles in a liquid mixture on the basis of their mass difference, centrifuge is used, and the process is known as centrifugation. What is meant by centrifugation? Okay, in order to separate insoluble particles in a liquid mixture based on their mass difference, centrifuge is used, and the process is known as centrifugation. This method is also used to separate butter from curd. First we know that this method is used to separate blood cells from blood samples. Okay, next method is chromatography. Here is an activity for you. Cut a filter paper like a ribbon. Then put a black spot on it using ink pen or sketch pen. Then keep this filter paper in a water taken in a beaker. Okay, this picture indicates that activity. First, this is a filter paper, and put a black spot using ink or sketch pen. Okay, then dip this filter paper in water like this way. What is your observation? What happened when water level in the filter paper ascend? What happened? Okay, the ink can spread, and you can see different colors. What is your inferences about the formation of different colors? Okay, ink is a component of two or more colored substances, or dye is a mixture, and that is formed by combining two or more colored substance. This is the method for separation of colored substances from their mixture, and this method is known as chromatography. Chromatography is a method used to separate more than one solute dissolved in a same solvent. And this method is first used to separate colored components, okay, from their mixture. This method is first used to separate colored components from their mixture. So this method is known as chromatography. This method is known as chromatography, and uses of this method is to separate poisonous substance from blood. To separate poisonous substances from blood, and also to separate different component in dye. Okay. Now our first chapter is completed, and we can conclude this topic by rewinding. First one we studied distillation. What is meant by distillation? Okay, when one component of a mixture is volatile and other do not vaporize, and at the same condition distillation can be used. Then next is fractional distillation. If the component have a very small difference in their boiling point, fractional distillation can be used. Then next one, separating funnel. What is meant by separating funnel? Okay, separating funnel is a apparatus used to separate immiscible liquids from their mixture. Next one is sublimation. When one component of some solid substances on heating, they can directly change into gas without forming liquid. Then next is important one, centrifugation. In order to separate insoluble particles in a liquid mixture based on their mass difference, centrifugation is used. Examples are separation of butter from curd. Next, separation of blood cells from blood cells, etc. Last method is chromatography. What is meant by chromatography? Chromatography is a method used to separate more than one solute dissolved in a same solvent. Okay, now this is the time to wind up my class. Okay, continue next class.